General Carter always knew that the end of the world would smell like burnt popcorn. The sky above New York City was a kaleidoscope of alien craft shimmering in iridescent hues as they descended upon the unsuspecting populace. Panic spread like wildfire, and the streets were choked with people fleeing in every direction. The initial disbelief quickly gave way to a primal fear as the first of the invaders began to disembark. General Carter, standing in the war room of the Pentagon, watched the live feeds with a grim expression. Around him, a flurry of activity and frantic voices filled the air as his staff tried to make sense of the chaos. He had prepared for many scenarios during his long military career, but an alien invasion was not one of them. "Sir, we've got reports from all major cities," Lieutenant Davis said, his voice tight with tension. "The same pattern, the ships land, the aliens emerge, and then, well, nothing. They just vanish." "Vanishing?" Carter demanded, his eyes fixed on the monitors. He turned to Ash. "Sir," Davis replied, sounding as if he couldn't believe his own words. "Within seconds of stepping onto Earth, they disintegrate." Carter's brow furrowed. "Get me Dr. Reynolds." Dr. Reynolds, a leading expert in xenobiology, was the closest thing humanity had to an alien expert. He was already in the building, having been summoned the moment the first ships appeared in the atmosphere. Within minutes, he entered the room, looking both excited and bewildered. "General, what you're describing is unprecedented," Reynolds said, pushing his glasses up his nose. "If these aliens are indeed turning to ash upon contact with Earth's environment, there must be something here that's toxic to them. But what? Radiation? Atmospheric composition? Something in our soil or water?" Carter pressed. "Could be any number of factors," Reynolds admitted. "We need samples of the remains to run tests. But if they're turning to ash, there might not be much left to analyze." Carter nodded, his mind racing. "Send teams to gather whatever they can. I want answers." As the day wore on, reports continued to pour in. Every city that had seen a landing was now littered with piles of fine gray ash, where the aliens had once stood. News channels speculated wildly, from divine intervention to secret government weapons. Social media was ablaze with theories and rumors. In a cramped apartment in Brooklyn, Jason Harris watched the news with a mix of fear and fascination. The 25-year-old computer programmer had always been a sci-fi geek, but this was beyond anything he had ever imagined. His phone buzzed incessantly with messages from friends and family, all sharing the latest updates and asking the same question: what is happening? Jason's roommate, Mark, burst through the door, eyes wide. "Dude, did you see? They're saying it might be some kind of biological reaction, like our air is poison to them or something." Jason nodded. "Yeah, I heard. It's crazy. I mean, these guys can travel across the galaxy, but can't handle a little Earth air." Mark flopped onto the couch. "Maybe it's not the air. Maybe it's something else, like, I don't know, bacteria or something. Whatever it is, I'm just glad it's working," Jason said. "Can you imagine if they were immune? We'd be screwed." At the Pentagon, General Carter and Dr. Reynolds pored over the initial findings. Teams had managed to collect some of the ash, and preliminary analysis was underway. "There's no sign of any known Earth pathogens," Reynolds reported. "The composition of the ash suggests a rapid cellular breakdown, almost like a form of spontaneous combustion." Carter raised an eyebrow. "Spontaneous combustion? Are you saying they just burst into flames?" "Not exactly," Reynolds clarified. "It's more like their bodies can't handle something in our environment. Their cells just disintegrate." "Can we weaponize it?" Carter asked bluntly. Reynolds looked startled. "General, we don't even know what it is yet, but if we can identify the cause, we might be able to develop some form of deterrent." Carter nodded. "Get on it. The sooner we understand this, the better." Across the world, the pattern repeated itself. Alien ships landed, aliens emerged, and within seconds, they were reduced to ash. The invasion seemed to taper off as quickly as they had begun, with fewer and fewer ships arriving each hour. It was as if the invaders had realized their mistake, but too late to stop the initial waves. In a hidden underground bunker somewhere in the Rocky Mountains, a group of high-ranking officials gathered for a classified briefing. Among them was Dr. Alan Shaw, a physicist who had been working on a top-secret project that now seemed eerily relevant. "Dr. Shaw," the president said, turning to the scientist, "what do you make of this situation?" Shaw took a deep breath. "Sir, I believe we may have inadvertently discovered a form of defense against these aliens. Several years ago, we began experimenting with a new type of radiation, one that affects cellular structures at a fundamental level. We abandoned the project due to its unpredictability, but it's possible that Earth itself emits a form of this radiation naturally." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "Are you saying," the president began slowly, "that our planet itself is a weapon?" Shaw nodded. "In a manner of speaking, yes. If we can harness and understand this radiation, we might be able to protect ourselves from any future invasions." The president leaned back, deep in thought. "Then that's our top priority. Get your team on it, Dr. Shaw. The fate of humanity might depend on it." As the officials dispersed, a sense of cautious optimism filled the air. The immediate threat seemed to be over, but the mystery remained. What exactly about Earth was so deadly to the invaders, and could it be used to safeguard the future of humanity? In the coming days, the world would continue to grapple with the aftermath of the invasion. Questions would linger, and the search for answers would drive humanity to new heights of scientific discovery. For now, though, the ashes of the invaders served as a stark reminder that Earth, in all its complexity and wonder, held secrets even the most advanced civilizations could not anticipate. The world had entered a strange calm. The initial panic of the invasion had subsided, replaced by a collective curiosity and a determination to understand the phenomenon that had saved humanity. Scientists, military personnel, and government officials worked around the clock to decipher the mystery. At the Pentagon, General Carter and Dr. Reynolds had become the faces of Earth's defense strategy. The war room buzzed with activity as new data came in from around the globe. Teams were analyzing the ash environmental samples and even the wreckage of the alien ships, hoping to find a clue. "General, we have something," Dr. Reynolds said one morning, his eyes alight with excitement. "Our latest analysis suggests that the radiation Dr. Shaw mentioned might indeed be at play here. We've detected trace amounts of an unknown form of energy in the ash samples. It's unlike anything we've seen before." Carter leaned in, his interest piqued. "Can we replicate it?" Reynolds hesitated. "It's not that simple. This energy appears to be a naturally occurring phenomenon, perhaps linked to Earth's unique magnetic field or some other environmental factor. We need to study it further to understand its properties." Carter nodded. "Do whatever it takes. We need to know if this is something we can control or if it's a one-time fluke." Meanwhile, in the hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Shaw and his team were deep into their research. Shaw had been working on the hypothesis that Earth's magnetic field, combined with certain geological elements, might produce a form of radiation lethal to the alien biology. The challenge was proving it. "Look at this," Shaw said, pointing to a set of readings on his monitor. "These spikes in energy levels coincide with the exact moments the aliens turn to ash. It's like the planet itself is defending us." His colleague, Dr. Eric Mason, frowned. "But why now? Why haven't we detected this energy before?" Shaw rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "It could be that the aliens' technology somehow triggered a response, or maybe their very presence amplified the effect. We need more data." Back in Brooklyn, Jason Harris could shake his fascination with the events. He had joined an online group dedicated to piecing together every scrap of information about the invasion. His programming skills came in handy as he sifted through data and helped develop theories. One evening, as Jason sat hunched over his laptop, Mark came in carrying a pizza box. "Dude, you're going to burn out if you keep this up," he said, dropping the box on the table. Jason barely looked up. "I can't help it. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened. I feel like we're on the brink of something huge. Mark sighed and grabbed a slice of pizza. Just don't forget to eat and sleep, okay? We need you alive for the post-apocalyptic world. Jason chuckled. Yeah. Don't worry. I'll take a break soon. As days turned into weeks, the scientific community made significant strides. Dr. Shaw's team discovered that the mysterious energy was a type of radiation that interacted with the alien cellular structure, causing it to destabilize rapidly. This interaction seemed to be unique to Earth's environment, a combination of the planet's magnetic field, atmospheric composition, and certain minerals found in the soil. We've dubbed it Tira radiation, Shaw announced during a global press conference. It appears to be harmless to Earth-based life forms, but devastating to the alien biology. Our next step is to see if we can harness this energy in a controlled manner. The news was met with a mix of relief and apprehension. While it was reassuring to know that Earth had a natural defense, the implications of weaponizing Tira radiation were profound. Ethical debates erupted about the potential misuse of such a powerful force. At the Pentagon, General Carter faced a dilemma. We have a potential weapon that could deter future invasions, but at what cost? He mused aloud during a strategy meeting. Dr. Reynolds nodded. We must tread carefully. This isn't just about defense, it's about responsibility. We have to ensure that any use of Tira radiation is strictly controlled and only used as a last resort. As the research continued, strange occurrences began to be reported around the world. Areas with high concentrations of the minerals linked to Tira radiation experienced unusual phenomena. Animals behaved erratically, electronic devices malfunctioned, and strange lights were seen in the sky. In the Rocky Mountains, Shaw's team worked tirelessly to understand these side effects. It's like the planet is alive, responding to the presence of this energy, Mason said one night, staring at a monitor displaying erratic data points. Sean nodded. We need to be cautious. If we push too hard, we might trigger something we can't control. Despite the challenges, progress was made. Shaw's team developed a prototype device capable of generating controlled bursts of Tira radiation. The potential for a new era of planetary defense was within reach, but the stakes had never been higher. As the world watched with bated breath, humanity stood on the cusp of a new dawn. The invasion had brought fear and destruction, but it had also sparked a new understanding of Earth's hidden power. The journey was far from over, and the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. But for the first time in history, humanity had a fighting chance against the unknown forces of the universe. In the war room, General Carter looked at the map of the world, now dotted with the remnants of the alien ships. We're not just defending Earth, he said quietly. We're discovering what makes it special, and we must protect that at all costs. As scientists and military strategists worked together, the world held its breath, waiting for the next chapter in this extraordinary saga. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: Earth was more than just a home. It was a fortress, and its secrets were the key to humanity's survival. The tension in the air was palpable as scientists and military personnel gathered in the Pentagon's war room for the most critical test yet. General Carter and Dr. Shaw stood at the front, facing a crowd of anxious faces. The Tira radiation generator, a compact and formidable device, sat in the center of the room, surrounded by monitors and control panels. Today we test the one thing that could secure our future, General Carter began, his voice steady and authoritative. This device harnesses the very force that saved us from the alien invasion. If it works, we can protect Earth from any future threats. Dr. Shaw stepped forward, his expression serious. We've taken every precaution. The generator will emit a controlled burst of Tira radiation, similar to the natural phenomenon we've been studying. Our goal is to ensure it can be a reliable defense without causing harm to our planet. The room fell silent as the countdown began. Technicians monitored the generator, their fingers poised over the controls. As the timer hit 0, the device hummed to life, emitting a low, resonant sound. The monitors flickered, displaying data streams and energy readings. Radiation level stable, one technician reported. All systems green. A palpable sense of relief washed over the room. The test had begun without incident. As the generator continued to hum, Dr. Shaw studied the data intently, looking for any signs of instability. Keep an eye on the energy fluctuations, he instructed. We need to make sure it remains within safe parameters. Minutes passed, and the readings remained steady. The generator emitted a faint bluish glow, indicating the presence of Tier radiation. The room's tension gradually eased, replaced by a sense of cautious optimism. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Energy spike detected, a technician shouted. Radiation levels are rising faster than expected. The atmosphere in the room shifted dramatically. General Carter's expression hardened. Shut it down? Now! But it was too late. The energy surged, cascading through the control panel like a wave of electricity. The room was filled with a deafening hum, and the lights flickered as the Tier radiation burst from the generator, rippling through the walls and ceiling. A blinding flash filled the war room. For a moment, everything went white. When the light faded, the room was eerily still. The monitors were silent. The generator sat quietly, its hum reduced to a faint whisper. General Carter was the first to speak, his voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. What happened? Dr. Shaw slowly turned to face him, his eyes wide with shock. It worked, but in a way we didn't expect. The energy readings had leveled off, but the room was far from normal. The walls around the generator showed signs of damage, and the air was thick with a strange, metallic smell. We've triggered something, Shaw muttered. Something bigger than we realized. The group stood frozen, the weight of the moment sinking in. The Tier radiation was more powerful than they had ever imagined. In that moment, General Carter knew that humanity's understanding of Earth, and their place within it, had just shifted dramatically. What they had unleashed could be a new weapon, or it could be something far more dangerous. But one thing was certain: the future of Earth would never be the same again.